The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite video games of all time. I mean, I had never really played anything quite like it before, in terms of how much freedom there is, and exploration, and being able to go anywhere where you never know what you'll find around any corner. This was the game that really sold me on the idea of open world video games, and ever since, I've kind of wondered how Nintendo might apply it to other franchises that I really love. One of the big ones is 3D Mario platformers. I mean, I have a whole video that's almost 40 minutes long talking about how I think that could work. There is another one too, though, another Nintendo franchise that is very dear to me that I always thought an open world rendition of would be really cool. But this one, I'll admit, it always felt like a bit more of a pipe dream, and that is Mario Kart. And yeah, I know, Mario Kart has always been a more multiplayer-focused franchise, and the whole idea of open world and this exploration that I was talking about is admittedly more single-player centric, but that didn't stop me from fantasizing about what could be in an open world Mario Kart game. I mean, I imagine this game that, like, follows your quest to become the best racer in the Mushroom Kingdom, and you drive around the world completing all sorts of missions and unlocking different kart parts and even fighting bosses. But again, I just thought that Nintendo would never do it because it didn't align with the multiplayer focus of the series. So, you can imagine my surprise when Nintendo announced Mario Kart World. Here, look, I'll show it to you. I popped off. Dude, the courses look fucking insane! What? An open world? What the fuck? Well, unfortunately, my excitement level kind of went down as I talked about the game with friends on Discord later that day and watched back the announcement and actually listened to what they were saying. It didn't actually have all this stuff that I had dreamed of. It didn't have this, like, grand story and bosses and NPCs and quests and this mission to become the best racer or any of that stuff. Instead, it had this mode called Free Roam, and the way Nintendo talked about it made it sound like there was absolutely nothing to do in it, other than just drive around for fun and take pictures with your friends, I guess?
By going off-road, you can explore new areas and routes. You can also go for scenic drives with friends, and even take photos together at different locations.
So yeah, that was concerning, but thankfully in the coming days, we got some info that actually there were collectibles and even mini challenges to find as you drove around the world. And at that point, suddenly I understood the vision of the game. It wasn't supposed to be this big single-player campaign with intricate quest lines and bosses and all of that stuff. It was supposed to just be something you could do with your friends, especially if you're in a lobby between races and you just want to kill some time. I mean, if you think about a game like Breath of the Wild, that has a big, intricate main quest line, and a bunch of different fast travel points and side quests. If you have multiple players in the same world, they might all be at different points in that main quest, or have different fast travel points unlocked. So how is it going to work when they're all playing in the same world? What are they going to do together? Will they even be able to fast travel to the same places? It'll all be a mess. The point of something like Free Roam is that there's no overarching structure, so you and your friends can just teleport anywhere and drive around together and just find random little things. It works perfectly for multiplayer. That was the vision. So, as a certified open world stan, one of the first things I did when I got the game was boot up Free Roam, obviously. And even in single player, it was super fun. You know, the little missions, they're really cool. There's a lot of variation, a lot of, like, Mario references and stuff like that. Super fun. The P-switch missions are definitely the main meat and bones of this mode. You drive over a P-switch and this little unique mini challenge appears, and there are like hundreds of them, and they're all different. And you have to complete them on a time limit, and some of them are like references to past Mario Kart games and stuff. Very cool. But there are also these medals, these Peach medallions that you can find scattered about the world, and in the courses themselves there are these panels that you can drive over, and those are kind of just little mini collectibles. They're not as involved as the P-switch missions, but it's something extra. Anyway, even though I was having a lot of fun with single-player Free Roam, What I was really excited to try was multiplayer, because I figured that's where the mode would really shine. So the next day I hopped into an online lobby with some friends, and we all had a really fun time exploring together. For about 10 minutes, until we started to notice that we hadn't seen any P-switches. And sure enough, one of us went into single player to check the locations, and there it was. A P-switch that was there in single player, but not in multiplayer. That's right, the P-switches did not exist at all in online multiplayer. Only the medals and panels did. I mean, this was ridiculous. The P-switches are literally the main meat of the mode, and they weren't there at all? It's not surprising given Nintendo's track record with online stuff, but still, come on. You'd think that with how much they were advertising people playing online together through game chat, including free roam, that they would care more about the online experience this time around. Okay, so Nintendo sucks at online multiplayer. You're probably well aware of that at this point. But at least they're good at local multiplayer, right? Nope. There's no option to do local multiplayer free roam. It's not there. On the main menu, you hit plus to go into free roam, and it puts you in free roam. There's no selection between one player or two player or anything, and you can't go into the pause menu and add a player. It's just not there. Okay, so there is sort of a workaround. You can go into online multiplayer with two players and create a room and just have no one join it. Now, first of all, who's gonna figure out that workaround on their own unless you, like, consult Reddit or something? Most people are not gonna figure this out. You know, parents who want to play with their little kids, siblings who want to play together, they're not gonna know that. And second of all, because it's technically an online lobby, not only do you need a subscription, but it also goes back to the original problem of there being no P-switches. So you're still not getting the real free roam experience. This might seem like a minor problem, but I would say it literally defeats the entire purpose of free roam. I mean, like I said, these P-switches aren't some minor thing. They're the main focus of this mode. So without them, the world just feels barren and empty, like there isn't much to do. I guess they're the panels and medals, but the panels only exist inside the courses themselves, so for most of the world, there are only medals. And medals, there are only half as many of as the P-switches. Plus, a good chunk of those are in super obscure spots, so it's more rare that you're gonna stumble across a medal than a P-switch. And even if you do, a fair amount of the ones that you're likely to find are just sitting there. So you just grab it and drive away. There's no associated mini-challenge or anything, so there's really not enough substance. This also just makes it feel pointless to explore the world in multiplayer, especially if you're a completionist like me, but even if you're not. Because anywhere you explore, if you want to find the P-switches there, you're just going to have to explore it again later in single player. So what's even the point of exploring it with your friends? So it feels like free roam doesn't even properly work in multiplayer. And if it doesn't work in multiplayer, then why did they even give us this mode that feels like it made sacrifices and compromises in order to work in multiplayer? Why didn't we just get that single player mode with the big involved storyline and the bosses and all the quests and stuff? This literally makes it feel like the entire point of the open world falls apart. Like, without P-switches in multiplayer, the concept goes from brilliant to why did they even make this open world? Now, what you might be thinking, and what's probably also the Nintendo logic that even went into this decision in the first place, is that it would be hard to design these challenges around multiplayer. But I don't really think that's true. I mean, I think there are definitely solutions that could be done. First of all, the simplest solution would be when one person goes over a P-switch, any other players that are nearby within a small radius get pulled into that challenge, and they all start from the same place at the same time. The players would just have to not be able to collide with each other during the challenge. A potentially better solution is that players in a nearby radius would have like a few second window to press a certain button to get pulled into the challenge. That way it's like optional and they're not forcibly pulled into it. Now, I know the blue coin challenges might be a little bit weird because every player would have to have their own separate set of blue coins, but that's not really that big of a deal. The good thing about what I'm proposing is that it doesn't even involve the players actually interacting with each other. They're just doing it independently, but at the same time. So it's not like netcode would be an issue here. But secondly, they didn't even necessarily need to do that. Like, it would be fine if the challenge just appeared to you. Why did Nintendo think that the solution was to make the P-switches not appear at all? Were they hoping that we just wouldn't notice they were gone? And if it's because they thought it would be weird if objects only appeared to one player and no one else, that's ironic, because the game already does that. I was playing with some friends, and we were trying to get this medal that required riding on a train through a tunnel, and we noticed that the train was in different places for each player. Look at my friend glitching out here. On his side, he's just riding the train. Also, here's him shooting out of a cannon car. And look, I'm not saying this actually matters. I mean, who really cares if objects only appear for one player? The point of the game is to be fun. And the solution that they chose here was the least fun possible solution. As it stands, it really feels like this game has an identity crisis. I mean, free roam is the open world mode in a game where the open world is advertised as the main selling point, and it can't decide whether it wants to be single player oriented or multiplayer oriented, and it just ends up being the worst of both worlds. Now, part of the reason that I'm even mentioning this is because I have hope that Nintendo could fix this in an update down the line. I mean, they've already released updates that addressed things people complained about, not just about the game as a whole, but even about free roam. A lot of people complained that none of the collectibles had any tracking system at all. You couldn't tell where the ones you had found were, and Nintendo added a tracking system that addressed that. Now you can open the map and see where all the different P-switches and medals that you found are. Also, people were complaining how annoying it was to unlock some of the different NPC drivers, like all the enemies, because the only way to get it was to have Kamek hit you in a race and turn you into that enemy. So Nintendo added a way to unlock them in free roam by sucking them up with a UFO. So I think ideally what Nintendo needs to do is not just add the P-switches to online multiplayer, but also to add an actual dedicated option to do local multiplayer free roam. Preferably with up to 4 players, but if there's some like technical limitation where they can only do 2, that would still be fine. So yeah, I mean, if you think this is a problem too, make some noise about it, and maybe, hopefully, Nintendo will listen to us. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. I'll have other similar stuff like this coming down the line, and have a good one.